Hi, greetings and salutations. Cold. Not cold. It's cold. I can say it's cold today. It's under 60, so it's cold today. Hi, how are you? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Have you been making good decisions? Decisions that will benefit you in the long run? Yeah? No? Either way, it's okay. Today, I'm okay today. I'm okay. I went to church this morning. And now I'm home. Yeah. Um, I didn't do the video yesterday, which was Saturday, because I had a busy day. Usually I try to post on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but if you can't get a Wednesday and Saturday, you might get a Thursday, Sunday, or maybe a Tuesday, Friday. It depends on how busy I am. But I'll try to do at least 2 a week. But if I can't do 2 a week, at least you'll get one. This week felt like time kicked my butt, or so to say, this week. It was an interesting concept for me this week. I felt like I didn't have enough time. And then times when I did have like a lax moment, I felt like that was too much time. Like, you know how when you want something so bad and you're anticipating it. And as I get older, I try to say I can't wait till. I try not to say that. I try not to say that, because it's an impatience thing for me. Like, my journey in life right now is so intentional. I try to make sure I watch what I say and how I feel about stuff. I try not to say I can't wait till I can do this, or I can't wait till I can do that. I will say I anticipate the day that I can do this or that, but I don't say I can't wait till. Well, it was many days this week where I had moments where I'm like, I anticipate the day that I can have a certain amount of money in my pocket. I anticipate the day I can leave this job. I anticipate the day I can leave where I live. Why can't I leave where I live? Why am I still here? Why do I have to work this job? I thought I would be over this by now. I spent too much time in this position. For a long time has not been my best friend. I'm slowly learning that time is nobody's friend, because essentially time is a man-made concept. We talk about time and we determine time. Time is time is something where if you focus too much on it, you will lose a lot of it. And so that's what I want to talk about today. Time, timelines, time frames, time restraints. Just time. I'm just gonna ramble about time today. My name's Bree. Thanks for coming to chat with me. So, like I said, time. Time, you hear so many sayings: time waits for no man, time is of the essence, time is what you make of it. All these sayings, but what do they really mean? I feel like everybody has a different definition of time. Um, I believe your beliefs can definitely play a part in your definition of time. I believe that things you've seen can play a part in your definition of time. So for me, like I was saying earlier, time is a man-made concept, because if you think about it, all right, like, say you want to go biblically, you want to say no one knows the day, no one knows the hour of the return of the Lord. That means you can't put a time limit on it. You can't say, I'll get myself together in 2025 because I know God will be back in 2026. That's just throwing something out there. You can't say that because you don't know that. So therefore, for me, that makes time a man-made concept. Growing up, I remember back to the age of 10, I've always been a very strategic person and very been a timely, punctual person. When I was younger, I remember sitting down and like outlining how I wanted my life to go. By 25, I wanted to be married. By 30, I wanted to have at least 4 children. I should have had I wanted to have my degree by 21, my bachelor's, working on my master's, and I wanted to actually have my doctorate, I think, by 28, something like that. I'm 33, 33, getting ready to be 34. I got married at 25, divorced at 33. No children, no degree. So needless to say, if I decided to follow my time constraints, I failed drastically at life. Time restraints will do that to you. Either they're going to make you feel like you're doing really, really great, or they're going to make you feel like you suck at life. That's part of why I call time a man-made concept. We set our time. Even going back to like clocks and stuff like that. I can't remember which empire it was. I want to say the Roman Empire that made the sundial. And the sundial was basically, it was used as a time thing. And it was to basically monitor, I want to say the work day. If it wasn't the work day, it was to like monitor like time in the field or something like that. Like, which basically would be the work day. So, because it was supposed to follow the movement of the sun or something like that to tell you the time of the day that it is. So it might not have been it might not have told you midnight, noon, 3 o'clock, or 9 o'clock, but it'll tell you sunrise, sunset, midday, mid-afternoon, etc., etc., just by looking at it and seeing where the sun lands on the dial. So, and don't quote me on that. Google is your best friend. I feel like that's what I learned. It might be wrong, but I feel like that's what I learned. So that tells me why time is a man-made concept to me. I know one part of the Bible says, it does say that there's a time for everything, a time for weeping, a time for mourning, a time for joy, a time for pain, a time for, it's supposed to be weeping and laughter, joy and pain, life and death, etc., etc. I think that's in Ecclesiastes. It's a time for everything. Not necessarily 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, or 3 o'clock, but it's a time in life for everything. The only thing is with that time, you never know when it's going to be. Now, you might get lucky and get a warning like, oh, I think something finna go down. Let me prepare. Or say you got the death of a loved one. Death is inevitable. It's a part of life. If you had a death of a loved one, then you be like, oh, I guess this is a time for sadness. It's evident, depending on your relationship with that person, it's evident that that's the time that you're in. My problem is that time is never on my side, meaning that time never goes the way that I plan for it to go. So then it leaves me sitting and wondering, am I failing because I never meet time? Am I supposed to meet time? What's the deal with Brianna and time? Why don't we work together? I always felt like I was behind the clock compared to everybody else. Like, I have cousins right now that are younger than me that have way more advancements and way more degrees and things than I do. I have cousins that have way more children than I could ever imagine. I have siblings that are younger than me, and they have things that I've been working towards that I never got. So I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I grasp this time thing? And it made me sit and think, and it kind of made me realize that I'm trying to grasp the concept of time when in actuality I need to be using the gift of patience. I'm not going to lie and say I'm a patient person, because I'm not. I'm patient where I need to be, where I'm graced to be. I'm patient. I'm patient with the elderly. I'm patient with children to an extent, more so with the elderly. I'm patient with other people, sometimes more than I should be, a lot of times more than I should be, because I usually end up getting burned. But I'm learning to rechannel that patience and to put some get right behind them. And if they don't like it, then you can let me go, and I'm fine with that. I probably already let you go, but if you don't like what I'm throwing to you, then you can let me go. Patience was always a hard concept for me, because when I was younger, I always had the "that's not fair" thing going on. Like, I was really smart when I was in school. Um, when I graduated high school, I had like a 4.2 GPA, a weighted GPA of 4.2. I could have graduated higher in my class if I wouldn't have transferred schools, but I ended up graduating number 51 or something like that. They couldn't put me, or they didn't put me where I belong, because I transferred into the school district too late. Um, that's another story for another day. I really don't want to talk about that. But yeah, so when I graduated, it was just at a bad time in my life. And that kind of, like, I based a lot of my life off of, I can honestly say, when it was time for high school, when senior year rolled around, that's when I got serious about the time limits that I put on my life. But that's also when the time limits got the hardest. And the reason that the time limits got the hardest is because senior year is a crucial year in the life of any teenager or a child that's going through that moment in time, because you're about to make a transition from teenager to young adult eventually. And you're entering the real world, if you think about it, still as a child. And the reason I say still as a child, because you're 18. 18 is legal in some aspects, but it's still, in my opinion, is still a child. So if you think about it, you graduate high school as a child, 17 or 18. That next year, if you choose to go to college, or even if you choose not to go to college and just get a job, you are thrust into the real world. If you have no support system, it sucks. Or if you feel you have no support system, it sucks. Because you feel lost, you feel confused, you feel alone, and you don't really want to do it. So at that time, I was getting ready to go into, I had a few offers on the table as far as colleges. I remember I got a cheerleading scholarship to a school called Augustana. It's in Illinois, because I'm originally from the south suburbs of Chicago. I'm from Robbins, Illinois. It was a school, I want to say it's in Rock Island, Augustana, the school. They sent me a scholarship for cheerleading. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a full ride scholarship. I wish I would have asked instead of just assuming. because I still to this day don't even know if it would have worked or not. But I turned the scholarship down because I was not convinced that we would have the funds as a family to get me there and sustain me there. And I felt the obligation, which no one thrusted on me. No one threw any obligations on me. Let me say that. I just have a tendency of reading too far between the lines and making up words as I go. I'll say that. I felt the obligation to stay behind with my family because money was an object. And I was not blind to that. And I didn't want to put, even though the scholarship for classes and things was a full ride, I didn't want to give my parents that obligation for the extras because I wasn't convinced that it would be an easy task for them. So that left me to decide, do you give up on school? Do you find another school closer? Or do you just tough it out? I ended up doing a year at Purdue Cal. It's in Hammond, Indiana. And though my college experience was great, I really wish that I would have taken the time and did more research and talked to more people that went to college before me, because I did not end up staying. I think I did a year and a half at Purdue Cal, and then I had to stop school for a while because money was not there. If I would have really, really researched, I would have found out that all I had to do was go down the street to South Suburban Community College, get an associate's there, do good there, get scholarships and things while I'm there, and then transfer out to finish my bachelor's. You live and you learn. That's another reason why that's why you shouldn't make time a big factor in everything that you do. When you give yourself time limits and time restraints, you put too much pressure on yourself. Pressure turns into stress. And now you're worried when you don't meet your mark that you placed on yourself. So I didn't finish. I ended up getting a job I ended up getting referred for a job with the help of family members at a nursing home. I worked there for about 6 or 7 years. All the while still going to school, still getting different certificates and certifications and stuff like that. But I was still unfulfilled, and I was still mad at myself because I knew that I had jacked up the time limits that I had set on myself to get everything done. So here I am, this 22-year-old girl. I have a CNA certification. I have an activity director certification, but I don't have a bachelor's degree. I'm a year behind my mark. Did not feel great. Then to add insult to injury, I'm 22 years old. Remember, I wanted to be married by 25. I'm approaching that 25-year-old mark, and the relationship that I was in wasn't even a real relationship. It wasn't even really fruitful. So I did not see marriage coming to me. My time limits. In the Bible, it says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. Cast your cares on the Lord, for he cares for you. I was not doing that. I gave myself a lot of unnecessary stress, a lot of unnecessary fears, a lot of unnecessary feelings of failure, beat myself up way more than I should have, when all I had to do was trust and depend on God. I wasn't doing that because I felt like since my life had not been going perfect, I had to make it perfect. When according to my beliefs, according to my relationship with God, all I had to do was give it to him let him lead me and guide me on what he wanted me to do, and he'll do the rest. I had to walk it out, but he would give me the direction. Was not thinking about that. Tried nursing school 3 times. Every time I would get to the end, I kid you not, like 3 months and the program would be over, I would run out of money. 3 times. Broke my heart. After that, I just gave up. I ended up getting married at the age of 25 to the same person from the unfruitful situationship that I was in at 22. You see where I am right now. Self-explanatory. I don't talk about this much, but in the process of being married, I've had 4 miscarriages. November of 2016, March of 2017, 3 and a possible, May of 2018, and September of 2021. No kids. As I started to realize that time was not working in my favor, it made me really sit down and think, and it made me pray, and it made me ask God to show me what was going on and what was I doing so wrong. And he just said it clear as day. He's like, you doing too much. I didn't give you these time limits. You gave you these time limits. You hurt yourself by giving yourself these time limits. We hurt ourselves every time we put big stipulations on ourselves that 9 times out of 10, God probably didn't give us to do anyway. We hurt ourselves because the stuff you had to do to get in the process, what you went through during the process, and then when you got to meet the failure face to face and confront it, just to have to keep going in life. And you can't act like it didn't happen, because either you lost money over it, you lost time over it, you lost emotion over it, or you lost people over it. And when I know we talking about time today, when I say you lost time over it, if you would have paid attention the first time, the very moment that, first off, did you even ask God, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? If you asked him, if you would have paid attention in that moment to his yes or to his no, you'd have been in a completely different spot from where you are right now. And that's what's dawning on me, not at this moment, but that's what kind of dawned on me yesterday. As I sat and I thought, and I beat myself up, and then I had to pray and say, God, I'm sorry for beating myself up about this, because there's therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. I asked you to forgive me for it, and you forgave me for it already, so I must move forward. We don't always hit the mark. This is true. We're humans. We're flawed, and that's okay. The thing is, if you miss the mark, pay attention so you can get the recovery. The recovery matters more than you think. If I would have missed the mark when God gave me my recovery, I can go as far as to say I'll probably be dead right now. Because I already tried to kill myself in July. So I know me, and I know I would have tried it again. You might be delayed, but you're not denied. It might not be happening on your time, but a year to God could very well be 10 years to us. An hour to God might be 2 minutes to us. And I think I said that. I should have said it the other way around. 10 years to us is a year to God. An hour to us is 2 seconds to him. Our time is not his time because we don't think of ourselves the way that he sees us. He sees us as his precious children that he just wants to hear, see, and receive what he's given to us. And all you got to do is let him speak. I was talking to a friend about this and we both said the same thing. It was so funny. It was like, I've grasped the concept of prayer. Now I need to grasp the concept of during prayer, shutting up and listening so I can see what God is actually saying to me. Blew my mind. Because it was like crazy because it's like I was thinking about that. But for her to say it too, I'm like, dang, so I'm not alone. I do need to shut up and let him talk. Yes. It's just like when you're talking to somebody in public. Active listening, that's not just you rambling off and walking away. Active listening is you saying your piece, shutting up, and letting the other person say their piece. You have to actively listen in order to receive. Blew your mind a little bit, didn't it? Blew mine too. I know, you'll be okay. At this point in life, at this moment, at this hour, I pray that whatever it is that you are asking God for, whatever it is you are waiting for, I pray that you give him time to work for you. My aunt said this to me the other day, and I'm gonna share it with y'all. Half the time when you're waiting for God to move, or even if you one of them, she keep talking about God. Half the time when you're waiting for God to move, because I'm not gonna change it, he's already went before you. You're not waiting for him to move. You're waiting for the manifestation of what he's already done. It's just like when you're making the cake. After you mix your wet ingredients, after you mix your dry ingredients, after you got all of that batter together, the cake don't just rise up and be a cake 2 seconds later. It takes time. It has to bake. You have to let it go through the process of baking. Just like that cake, whatever the job is you want, whatever the relationship is that you want, whatever the happiness level for yourself it is that you want, whatever degree it is that you want, whatever car it is that you want, you have to let the process work. You have to let your time limits go. Let patience have her perfect work. If you want the good, you got to fight for the good. And sometimes fighting for the good means standing still and seeing the salvation of the Lord. Sometimes you got to shut up, be still, and wait. And don't get me wrong, when I say shut up and be still and wait, I don't mean just sit there Indian style in the corner and wait. I mean, you go about your day, you do what you're supposed to do, but you don't make no extra moves that might put you in another position on your own. Because most of the time when we make moves and end up in another position on our own, we fail ourselves. And then you back at square one and you got to start your way over because God never told you to do that in the first place. Be patient. Be encouraged. Let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. And know that he'll keep you in perfect peace as long as your mind is stayed on him. And you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. The race is not given to the swift, but to the strong. You got this. I'm with you, and I'm praying for you daily. That's all I got. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. Not finna keep going through that. I'm just gonna say it. Don't forget to do it. I thank y'all so much. The outreach has been real on these videos. The love has been real, and I appreciate that. I'm literally just here, just giving what's on my heart, and y'all literally do the rest when y'all let me know how y'all feel about it. So I appreciate y'all for that. Much love for that. Know that I love y'all. If don't nobody else tell you you're loved, I'm telling you now you're loved. My name's Bree. Thanks for coming to chat with me.